Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm here with the miserable liberal and Ron Placone, and they're drinking out of their Jimmy Dore Show mugs.
Oh, hi, Jimmy.
Oh, and look at the nice T-shirts. Folks, it's a way to help support the show. Go to our link at spreadshirt.com. Check it out. Thank you for supporting us. Well, we've talked about this before. This article, this story was reported by the New York Times. It says cash flow to the Clinton Foundation amid Russian uranium deal. Now, we've talked about this before. Just to refresh your memory, according to the New York Times, the sale gave the Russians control of 1/5 of all uranium production capacity in the United States. Now, why is that interesting? It's interesting for two reasons. Because Hillary Clinton had to sign off on this. She had to sign off on, just a few years ago when she was Secretary of State, she had to sign off on giving 1/5 of all uranium production capacity in the United States to Russia. And what happened? And now what's the other part of this? Well, Bill Clinton got a lot of money at that same time from a Kremlin-connected bank. How much? $500,000. Bill Clinton got a $500,000 for one speech to a Kremlin-connected bank. That's according to the New York Times. And you know how much money flowed into the Clinton Foundation around this uranium deal? Individuals related to Uranium One and Eurasia, including Gustra and Telfer, donated to the Clinton Foundation, totaling $145 million. Now, when I talked about this before, I tried to remind everybody, remember if this was Trump, if Trump's foundation got $145 million and he gave 150, they'd have him in chains already, which he should be. If you did, this is corruption. This is corruption. And Bill Clinton took $500,000 for one speech. One speech, $500,000. Highest paid speech he gave. One speech, $500,000. That's one of his highest paid speeches, Bill Clinton. And you remember, you know what this is, right? So this is an internal document from the Hillary Clinton campaign, which they did some internal polling, and it was done by a guy's named Peter Brodnitz. That's what it says right at the top. It says for the Hillary Clinton campaign. And what did they find out? They did their own internal polling, and they found out that Senator Clinton's top vulnerability, as tested in the poll, is the attack that claims as Secretary of State she signed off on a deal that gave the Russian government control of 20% of America's uranium production after investors in the deal donated $140 million to the Clinton Foundation. Half of all likely voters are less likely to support Clinton after hearing that statement, and 17% are much less likely to support after hearing that statement. So that's from her own internal, that's a document, we got it through WikiLeaks, from her own internal campaign polling. Hillary Clinton's biggest vulnerability is her signing off on this deal. Now it turns out the FBI uncovered Russia bribery plot before Obama administration approved the controversial nuclear deal with Moscow. So it turns out there was this big investigation the FBI was doing of Russian bribery schemes around uranium production in the United States. And the interesting thing is they kept it secret, meaning the Barack Obama administration. Well, here, according to The Hill, it says before the Obama administration approved a controversial deal in 2010, giving Moscow a large swath of uranium, the FBI had gathered substantial evidence that Russian nuclear industry officials were engaged in bribery, kickbacks, extortion, and money laundering designed to grow Vladimir Putin's atomic energy business inside the United States, according to the government documents and interviews. Yet Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama signed off on that deal anyway, while suppressing this information. They also obtained an eyewitness account backed by documents indicating Russian nuclear officials had routed millions of dollars to the U.S. designed to benefit former President Bill Clinton's charitable foundation during the time Secretary of State Hillary Clinton served on a government body that provided a favorable decision to Moscow. Eyewitness accounts backed by documents indicating Russian nuclear officials routed millions of dollars to the U.S. designed to benefit former President Bill Clinton's charitable foundation. Can you imagine if that was Trump? That's corruption. That's corruption right there. That's bribery. That's corruption. You're not allowed to bring it up. Rather than bring immediate charges in 2010, however, the Department of Justice under Barack Obama and Eric Holder, the Department of Justice continued investigating the matter for nearly 4 more years, essentially leaving the American public and Congress in the dark about Russian nuclear corruption on U.S. soil during a period when the Obama administration made 2 major decisions benefiting Putin's commercial nuclear ambitions. One was to give the sale. To sell it. That was the big one. The Russians were compromising American contractors in the nuclear industry with kickbacks and extortion threat, all of which raised legitimate national security concerns. And none of that evidence got aired before the Obama administration made those decisions, meaning to sell that stuff, the uranium to Russia. None of that evidence got aired. Isn't that amazing? None of it. Bringing down a major Russian nuclear corruption scheme that had both compromised a sensitive uranium transportation asset inside the United States and facilitated international money laundering would seem a major feather in any law enforcement agency's cap. You would seem. But the Justice Department and FBI took little credit in 2014 when Makarin, the Russian financier, and the trucking firm executives were arrested and charged. Shh, don't talk about it. Shh. Why? Because we're going to give this deal. We're going to still do this deal. We've got to get this deal. We're going to get $142 million to Bill Clinton. Everybody shut up. Everybody shut up. Nothing to see here. Just a little nuclear bribing. The lack of fanfare left many key players in Washington with no inkling that a major Russian nuclear corruption scheme with serious national security implications had been uncovered. So you know that Hillary Clinton knew about this. You know Bill Clinton knew about this. You know Barack Obama knew about this. And what did they say? Shh, mum's the word. Don't say anything. Give Putin everything he wants. Why? Because we're all going to get rich. And they did it. They did it. Former Representative Mike Rogers of Michigan, who chaired the House Intelligence Committee during the time the FBI probe was being conducted, told The Hill that he had never been told anything about the Russian nuclear corruption case, even though many fellow lawmakers had serious concerns about the Obama administration's approval of the Uranium One deal. Isn't that interesting? But don't say it. They never told him. Not providing information on a corruption scheme before the Russian uranium deal was approved by the U.S. regulators and engage appropriate congressional committees has served to undermine U.S. national security interests by the very people charged with protecting them, Mike Rogers said. The Russian efforts to manipulate our American political enterprise is breathtaking. So there you have it. I thought Trump was the one corrupt in Russia. Turns out the Clintons. Turns out Barack Obama. Turns out our FBI. Isn't it amazing?
Look, Jimmy, I understand you find it grossly hypocritical that the same political wing that's ushering in a new era of McCarthyism has the same dealings with this foreign entity.
Isn't that amazing?
But quite frankly, I feel like you want the world. I feel like you got to ride out of here on your pony. Yeah. You want instant apps.
Ha! Steph, it's kind of stunning, right, Steph?
It is pretty stunning. I'm shocked. Again, okay. So I looked up. I just was trying to see who produces uranium, right? Because we had a conversation earlier.
Yes.
So I start and I look. It's Ukraine 2%, China 3%, USA 3%, Uzbekistan 4%. Russia, 5%, Namibia, 6%, Niger, 7%.
Oh, Niger.
Okay. And Australia, 9%, Canada, 16%, and Kazakhstan, 41%.
Kazakhstan's, whoa.
So it's like, oh, okay, let's see where our military forces are. And let's see how much uranium is there.
Let's see, uranium, oil. Those are the two things you got to look for.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then precious minerals.
Precious metals.
Metals in Afghanistan.
Rare earth. Mm-hmm. Rare earth metals or rare earth minerals. So the Democrats, 100% corrupted. That's real. That's just breaking now. The news media didn't know anything about it. Nobody in Congress knew anything about it. Barack Obama came at shush, 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 and his Justice Department kept it shush, shush, shush. Isn't that something? Didn't tell anybody about it. Why? Because we got to get that uranium deal go through for the Clintons. So, there's a theory that we've proven over and over on this show. Anything Trump has done, the Clintons and Obama have done also. There's a videotape or there's a paper trail of them doing the same or worse.
Well, and the corruption's always been there. It's just now you have somebody who has no concept of subtlety.
You're right.
Just none.
Right. So Trump is not subtle about his corruption, and which drives everybody crazy. Why doesn't he have better manners when he's screwing over America? Trump didn't start the Iraq War. Trump he didn't crash the economy. Trump didn't repeal the New Deal banking legislation. Trump didn't pass NAFTA or the TPP. Trump didn't do this.
I want my deep state oligarchs polite. Is that too much to ask?
And of course, there are the people who were purposely misread this video at this report and say, "Oh, you're supporting Trump." No, you phony liar. So there you go. Your government is not on your side. The Russia thing is all bull. Is Trump corrupted like the Clintons with the Russians? Probably. I'm sure he has some nefarious dealings with oligarchs and he's laundered money and what have you. That's nothing to do with what they said. Okay. I just can't believe people need more proof that we have one party. The next live Jimmy Dore show is November 6th in Burbank, California, and November 12th in Portland, Oregon. Link for tickets right there.